You are listening to Pelushi Performance Podcast, and here is your host, Ray Pelushi.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the new episode. Thank you so much for finding your precious time and being here with me today. I'm Ray and I'm your host, and let's go straight to today's topic. Today's topic is very, very interesting. Why it's interesting? Because today we're going to talk about addictions. How can we use addictions in our favor? Yeah, you heard it right. How can we use those addictions that we have in our favor? First of all, we got to understand what addictions are. We got to be aware that there are positive addictions, negative addictions. We are all addicted to something, I believe. And I also believe that our human nature, it's instilled within us that we're going to always be addicted to something. So, becoming aware of it, I think is important. That as humans, is just created within us that we are addicted to something. Or we have this tendency to have an addicted behavior. Number one. Number two, I want you guys to understand, and also me to also make sure that I understand completely that there are bad addictions and good addictions. And we're going to talk more about it. Now we're going to talk about also like those terrible addictions that definitely it changes the shape of our brain. Yes, you heard it right. It shapes the form that our brain has. Our brain can, when you are going through some difficulty or you want to find some solutions and you're in pain, but you're finding these answers, there's a part of our brain that starts shaping itself to finding the answers you're looking for. So our brain is these big muscles that it takes those different forms. But with some bad addictions, you literally shape your brain in a form that it's not going to ever go back to where it was. Like you're creating some holes inside of your brain. And you know what kind of addictions I'm talking about. People that abuse with drugs, abuse with alcohol. But I'm actually speaking more specific with a gambling addiction because I've done research about it. So I know that the other addictions do affect your brain. I just don't know exactly how bad it affects, but I know for gambling. So let's just not go from one point to another. The first main point is to become aware that we have an addicted personality. It is installed within us, and we're always going to have some addictive behavior. But now let's get more into detail. What are those behaviors? So for example, there's 1 million people out there, and obviously there's more than 1 million people that are addicted to coffee. Now, coffee necessarily, it's not bad. There's research that shows that you should not drink coffee 8 hours prior that you're going to bed, even though it seems like it's been a long time. Those molecules that are inside of the coffee still stays in your brain for that long period of time. So when you're trying to go sleep, those things doesn't let you go into those REM sleeps, and it doesn't let you go into those deep stages of your sleep. So that's why it is not good. Now, there's a lot of research that shows that coffee is very healthy on becoming more alert, on your brain health. So coffee is that kind of hit and miss. But like everything else, if you overdo it, then it becomes an addiction. And also, you're not going to have a positive feedback out of it. Water, it's amazing. Our body is 70% water. Water, it's more than important to us. Now, if we overdrink water throughout the day, it has negative effects. Yes, it does have negative effects. Sleep is the number one component on our body and mind and everything else. But if we oversleep, I don't think this is right. Now, I don't know, there's studies out there that shows that oversleeping is unhealthy. But if you want to have a healthy life, yeah, you should not sleep all day. I mean, you got to go outside. You need to be outside, get your sunlight, and do all the physical activities, etc., etc. So obviously, it's going to affect you if you're all day on bed sleeping. So we have to be cautious on what kind of things we're more addicted. We definitely are addicted to something. Can be social media, can be spending too much time not doing the right things, or constantly procrastinating, but we are definitely in our days. I believe if we all take one step back and ask ourselves truly, what do we usually do throughout the day? What are the most things we do throughout the day? You will find a pattern that you are that you're addicted to something, or you have an addictive behavior, or your behavior is addicted to something. And I'm pretty sure that whatever that is, you can definitely reduce it and have positive feedbacks out of it. Now, we don't want to become addicted to the big things, like those terrible things like alcohol and cigarettes and drugs and gambling, because obviously those are bad. But once you once you do this kind of behavior, and once you smoke for a while or drink for a while, etc., then you're becoming addicted. And guess what? More time you do it, more difficult is for you to leave that. First of all, your body's gonna crave it. So even when you stop, you're gonna start feeling like headaches, and you're not feeling well, and switches on your moods, and etc., because it's not that the body is also it's only asking for those those dopamine hits from that activity, but also it's difficult because you're not doing the behavior that you're supposed to do. Let's say because you were doing it. Cigarettes, for example, it's very, very addictive. Your body is not only going to crave the nicotine, but also you as a human, your brain is also going to, be addicted to the behavior of it. The moment that you light your cigarette and inhaling, exhaling, like all these things. So I did the research because I had a class that I had to take on my master's program, which was called Addiction. And I needed to make throughout the semester, we had two main components. The first one was the final paper and the presentation, which I did for gambling. And gambling was crazy. When I say crazy, because the studies and the research shows that people that were gambling for a while, they usually, it literally switches their brain, like it left holes in their brain that it will never be recuperated. So this how bad that is. But what is also interesting is that the level of dopamines that you achieve from gambling, it's not just because you're winning, but you receive almost exactly levels of dopamine hit when you win a lot of money, let's say, or when you win a little money, but when you're winning something, and also on the moment that you are waiting on what the result is going to be. For example, you're playing roulette and you put all your money in 7. Now the ball is spinning. That process that you're waiting for where the ball is going to land, it has the same dopamine hit. Even it's the same with if, let's say we would win and the ball would leave at 7. So that's how crazy those addictions are. Not just because our body needs, let's say, whatever it is, but it's also the behavior. Another big component, or let's say another big exercise that we had in the class, it was that we all had to quit something. So it was like an exercise that we need to quit one thing on our day, on our lives for the next 4 months, so we can truly understand when we go outside as a part of graduating from the masters that I was part of. We had to spend, I don't like the word spend, but we had to invest. We had to do 700 hours of internship in 1 year. We're dealing with all kinds of clients. clients that are clinical depressed and anxious, addicted to something like with addictions and suicidal. And so it was an amazing class, because the idea of behind that class is that if we really need to understand our clients, what they're going through, well, we also need to understand what it feels like to quit something. It's easy for somebody to say quit until you start doing yourself. So then everybody was choosing something. And it was funny because one of the girls in my class, obviously I'm not going to mention the name because of the confidentiality, she chose to quit Twitter. It was called Twitter at the time, X now. And she wasn't going to use Twitter for 4 months. And she was so much addicted to it. Now, Twitter is one social media. I bet that we all are addicted to some kind of social media. The way that she expressed it, that she was overly addicted. Like, she was on Twitter all day long. And before we even, quote unquote, signed the contract in the class of what are we going to like quit for the next 4 months, that we're weekly going to talk and meet and see the progress, we all like start seeing each other like, oh my God, are we really going to take something that we really do like daily throughout the day? And I will never forget my friend's face. Like, she like start freaking out. She's like, oh my God, like just the idea that I'm not going to, like, I cannot even understand. Like, oh my God. She's like, I'm going to make sure that I stay all night up tonight so I can use all like the energy on Twitter, because I know I'm not going to use it for the next 4 months. Like, it was crazy. I chose to quit alcohol and cigarettes. For the alcohol, I don't think it was like an amazing feedback because I wasn't an alcoholic, but I was definitely drinking every weekend 1 glass. So it was still challenging, but it wasn't so challenging. What I decided to quit was cigarettes. I used to be a smoker, and I smoked for a couple of years, and it definitely I was addicted to it, and it was difficult. When I say it was difficult, it was crazy difficult. Like, I would smell somebody smoking cigarettes a couple minutes away. Like, I won't even see where this person is, and I would smell that smoke. And then next thing you know, like a car is passing by and the guy is smoking a cigarette and his window was open. I'm like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And definitely it was very, very difficult. But we cannot just quit something. As I mentioned, we are addicted to something. We're always going to be addicted to something. So now the best way and skill and technique that we can use is that we need to replace this negative addiction to a positive addiction. So I thought that what best I could, find myself in something that would benefit me. And I was like, wait a minute. It was a time that, and I've mentioned to my other episodes, where my life was terrible. I mean, not terrible. I was still in my master's. I was an assistant coach. I mean, my life was good, but I wasn't meditating. I wasn't reading. I wasn't working out. I was smoking cigarettes daily. I was going out every weekend drinking, not a lot of amount, but I was drinking every weekend. So I was doing all those stuff that I'm not doing right now, or let's say I'm doing it like meditation, visualization, etc., etc. And I've always wanted to be an example counselor, therapist, life coach. And that was a perfect time for me that I made the change. I made the breakthrough. Because now I left something that was very big on my day, which was cigarettes, literally. Like, it was like my main thing of the day. I would smoke cigarette all day long. And I made the decision to quit, and I found another thing, another positive addiction that I can replace it. That was lifting. So now I took out something bad and I replaced it with something good that I didn't have it. And it starts slowly. I mean, I literally started with walking 30 minutes 3 times a week. And then slowly, I made it to 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Now I'm walking 3 times and running 3 times. And now I'm walking 2 times, running 2 times, and swimming 2 times. And then I'm not walking anymore, but I'm swimming, running, and lifting. And then I'm just lifting and doing some other cardio until this moment of my life that literally I don't think I've ever been mentally but especially physically strong ever in my life other than right now. I mean, it's been more definitely that more than 3 years that I've made all these changes and I've been very consistent, but it started small and then shifted. It not just shifted on my gym. Like I didn't want to drink anymore. I didn't want to smoke anymore because I wasn't a smoker. I told myself, I changed the story. I'm not a smoker. I'm not a drinker. But I also knew that those things will affect me negatively on my other addiction. So now I'm trying to be strong, big, and good looking and everything. So I don't do those things. If that makes sense. I'm really addicted to something. But other than changing our addictions from a bad one to a good one, we also need to understand that by doing more things that are helping us for the future or have a positive effect on us, now we are creating a new system within us. We're creating a new culture within us. We're creating, how more powerful I can say this, like we are creating this role model, this individual, this picture that is becoming a very disciplined person. You cannot start with big disciplines on aim and master the small disciplines. Let me tell you one thing, all disciplines affect each other. So by adding a small discipline on your day, a positive addiction, now you're going to add another one, and another one, and another one. And next thing you know, you're turning your whole life around. Like, obviously, not easy. It doesn't sound as simple as I say. You have to do the work. It's a long path, but you gotta start somewhere. And trust me, the first step is like 50% of your path. So today's episode is to show you all. When I tell you show you, I'm also showing to myself because I also have my days that I'm tempted and I don't want to wake up early and I feel like I really need to like go out and drink. But I remind myself that what I'm doing is for the best and for my future. So first of all, I want we all to understand and know that we as humans have an addicted personality. We're always going to be addicted to something. Now, I hope that we're not addicted to those terrible things because they have a tremendously negative effect on our life and our brain and everything else. But let's ask ourselves, what are we addicted to something? Are we addicted to social media, to cigarettes, to alcohol, even though those are big things? But again, are we addicted to coffee? Are we addicted to, I don't know, video games? And now let's take this exercise and replace this negative addiction to a positive one. Find a counterattack. Find something you can attack this, whatever it is. If you want to quit alcohol and smoking, then you start lifting. If you want to quit video games, you start reading. If you want to quit sugar, now you start eating healthy and start loving the process of eating healthy and finding things that are healthy, tasty. And now you don't want to go back to where you were. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. And I hope that this episode really, really help you to change a little bit of your mindset. Start doing something good on your life, something positive. Just change something. We can all improve. I can improve. There are things on my day that I can still change to become the best version of myself because everything we're doing, it's for us. And for us, everything must matter because we live with ourselves 24/7. Our body, our mind is like a temple that we live there, sleep there, do everything there. So let's be cautious and let's train to become the best version of ourselves and have the best temple we can ever have. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll definitely be more than happy and excited to hear all your guys' comments, feedbacks, and I appreciate your guys' shares, likes, comments, and whatever it is related to PPP. Until the next one, you guys stay blessed.